The dark illusion of Theresienstadt. Imagine walking into a Nazi concentration camp, but instead of barbed wire and starvation, you see children laughing in classrooms, music echoing through concert halls, people sipping coffee in cafés. It looks normal, almost peaceful. Now imagine this was all a lie. Before we dive into the main story, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell notification button for more interesting video like this. A carefully staged performance, designed to fool one of the most powerful humanitarian organizations in the world, the International Committee of the Red Cross. Because behind the music, behind the smiling faces, behind the illusion of humane treatment, thousands were being deported to death camps like Auschwitz. This is the story of Theresienstadt Ghetto, the concentration camp built to trick the world. And the most disturbing part? For a brief moment, it worked. Theresienstadt wasn't like other Nazi camps. Located in what is now the Czech Republic, it was originally a fortress town built in the 18th century. But during World War II, under Nazi Germany, it became something far more sinister. Unlike extermination camps, Theresienstadt served a dual purpose. A transit camp, a stop before deportation to death camps. A propaganda tool, a model Jewish settlement to show the world. The Nazis populated it with a very specific group of prisoners: Jewish artists, musicians, scholars, war veterans, elderly citizens, people whose presence would make the camp look civilized. But this wasn't kindness. It was strategy, because rumors were spreading. Whispers of mass murder, of gas chambers, of genocide. And the Nazis needed a cover story. By 1944, pressure from the international community was mounting. The Red Cross requested access to inspect Nazi camps. So the Nazis decided to turn Theresienstadt into a stage. They called it beautification. But it was more like set design. What they did: painted buildings and repaired streets, opened fake shops and cafés, created playgrounds for children, organized concerts, operas, and theater performances, established schools for education. They even produced a fake currency system to simulate a functioning economy. Prisoners were forced to participate in this illusion. Artists created cheerful propaganda posters. Musicians performed under threat. Children rehearsed plays, while many of their friends had already been sent to their deaths. One of the most chilling details? Before the Red Cross visit, the Nazis deported thousands of sick, starving, and visibly weak prisoners, so they wouldn't ruin the illusion. They were sent to Auschwitz. Most never returned. The deception didn't stop at a simple tour. The Nazis went even further. They created a full propaganda film titled Theresienstadt, a documentary film from the Jewish settlement area. It showed well-fed prisoners, cultural events, happy families, thriving community life. At the center of this forced performance was a Jewish filmmaker named Kurt Jaron. He was a famous actor before the war. The Nazis forced him to direct the film. He had no choice. And after filming was complete, he was deported to Auschwitz and murdered. The film itself became one of the most grotesque pieces of propaganda in history, because everything it showed was a lie. On June 23, 1944, the moment arrived. Representatives from the International Committee of the Red Cross entered Theresienstadt. They were guided along a carefully planned route. Every step was controlled. They saw children playing, cultural performances, clean streets, content prisoners. They were not allowed to wander freely. They did not see overcrowded barracks, disease, starvation, deportation lists. And most importantly, they did not see the trains leaving for Auschwitz. At the end of the visit, the Red Cross issued a report. It was surprisingly positive. They concluded that conditions were acceptable, that prisoners were being treated relatively well. The illusion had worked. The Nazis had successfully manipulated international perception, buying themselves time to continue the Holocaust. But the truth was far darker. Theresienstadt was never a paradise. It was overcrowded beyond belief. At times, more than 50,000 people were crammed into a space designed for a fraction of that. Food was scarce. Disease spread rapidly. Death was constant. And the worst part? Theresienstadt was a gateway to death. Over 140,000 Jews passed through the camp. Around 33,000 died there from starvation and disease. About 88,000 were deported to extermination camps. Most were sent to Auschwitz. Very few survived. Even the children who performed in plays, who sang in concerts, who smiled for the Red Cross, were eventually deported. Their performances were not a sign of life. They were a delay before death. You might be wondering, how could the world be fooled? The answer is uncomfortable. Because people wanted to believe it. At the time, the full scale of the Holocaust was almost unimaginable. Industrialized genocide? Gas chambers? Mass extermination? It sounded too horrific to be real. So when presented with a model camp, it gave just enough doubt to delay action. The Nazis exploited that doubt. They weaponized perception. And Theresienstadt became proof that propaganda can be just as deadly as weapons. In 1945, as World War II came to an end, Theresienstadt was liberated. What the world discovered was nothing like the staged paradise. The truth came out. Mass suffering, systematic deception, forced performances, manipulated inspections. The Red Cross report was later criticized. Historians now view the visit as one of the most successful propaganda deceptions of the war. Theresienstadt became a symbol of something terrifying. Not just cruelty, but calculated illusion. But here's the question that should haunt you. If a regime could build an entire fake reality, convince international observers, and hide genocide in plain sight, what else went unseen? What other truths were buried under performance, propaganda, and carefully crafted lies? Because Theresienstadt wasn't just a camp. It was a warning, a reminder that sometimes the most dangerous lies aren't the ones we're told, but the ones we're shown. For more videos like this, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.